Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business podcast, where I talk about running a home-based business and the challenges that come with that. I have been running a home-based business in various forms for the last 23 years, and I was thinking about it. I had a lot of businesses that I had kind of sold things before that, but they weren't really strictly formal businesses. But anyway, so what I did today, I'm thinking, I need to record a podcast. I don't really have any topics. There is one thing I want to talk about. There was a comment that I got on YouTube. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go to ChatGPT. But I said, let me get a list of topics. Let me get a list of topics for podcasts. And so I had it do 100 topics for podcasts about running a home-based business. It gave me this list of stuff that extremely generic topics. All right. And, it seems to really like to talk about passion and enthusiasm and positive mindset. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. That's fabulous. But I'm not sure that that's going to, positive mindset is not necessarily going to help you make your business successful. It depends on what kind of positivity you're talking about. Because I'm cranky most of the time and I have a successful business, right? And, I think that it's not being a positive person and being enthusiastic and enjoying your work, because nobody enjoys their work all the time, let's be honest. Even if you love doing what you do, and if you love painting, you love making things, whatever you love, you can't do that all the time and love it all the time. That's just not normal. That's not normal human behavior. So if you are someone who loves everything that goes into running your business, great. Good for you, but you are the freak, because that's not normal to love every minute of your business. And I have to say, I'm not one to say, oh, kids these days, but because I look at my own kids and they don't fit any of the stereotypes that people talk about. But I will say that there does seem to be the idea that you have to be happy all the time or things aren't right with you. What? No. And when my kids were little, my husband used to, he would just ask them, are you happy? Are you happy? And I was like, what the hell are you doing that for? And I said to him, why are you asking them that? Because nobody can be happy all the time. And that's just setting them up to think that that's a normal way of life. You can't be happy all the time if you're alive, if you're a human. Nobody is happy all the time, let's be honest. So I think that as people look around and see social media posts where everybody's happy, and that people have talked about this before, it sets up a false idea that everybody's happy except you. No. Everybody knows that when you peel back the curtain, those people are not happy. They're just posting processed photos. Everything's edited. Everything is filtered. It makes them look happy, but they're not happy all the time. And all we have to do is watch reality TV to see that, right? I love me some TLC, let me tell you. And my husband calls it the loser channel. Yeah, it's the loser channel, and I love it. Those people are not happy all the time, okay? But if you look at their Instagram, it looks like everything's great. So I don't even know how I got on this subject. Oh, it's about the positive mindset thing. Yeah, I think that you have to have a positive mindset as far as understanding the reality of building a business if you have a home-based business. And I've talked in the past in this podcast about balance and what a complete load of crap that is. Because the myth of balance, people have, you need to find balance. And that's one of the things that this gave me. It's like the need for balancing. I was like, no, it's the need for cutting things out that you don't need to do now and you might want to come back to later when you have time. But there is no balance. There is no happy all the time. And you just have to accept that that's the normal human condition. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. And the idea that people will say, have a positive mindset. This actually, about, I don't even know how long ago, maybe 10 years ago, wasn't there a movement of people saying, the forgiveness police, that's what it was. People say, you need to forgive them for yourself. And I was like, hell no. Look, forgiveness and happiness and all this kind of stuff, you can't boil it down to a formula. And you can't say that you need to do this all the time. And the forgiveness police used to say, if you don't forgive that person, then it's just going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt them. And I'm like, hell no, it's not going to hurt me if I don't forgive them, because that tells me that I need to stay away from that jerk and that they did something that I'm not going to forgive. Okay, so that's fine with me, because that is my boundary. That's my life lesson that I learned from that. But the forgiveness police were very unrelenting for a couple of years, right around maybe 10 years ago. That was a big thing. Right. And the happiness police, I haven't seen that as much, except when my husband was saying, are you happy? Are you happy? I don't get that, but the idea that you have to be happy all the time and you have to have a positive mindset all the time is very unrealistic, especially if you're running a home-based business where you have to do all the work. And that doesn't make you happy all the time. I have been super cranky for the last couple of days. I don't know why. I just, it's a Monday. You wake up on, I know what set me off. I know. Sunday, I'm sitting here filling a bunch of orders because it's Sunday, right? And that work isn't going to go away. It's not like I can just put that off, because you have to do it. If you run a home-based business, there are things that you have to do. So I'm sitting here filling all my orders while my husband's out messing around, because he's retired and he can do that because he doesn't have anything to do. And he's like getting ready to go golfing, or he's going to do this. And he said something to me that just set me off. I don't remember exactly what the phrase was, but it was something like, oh, are you getting your orders done so that you can relax? I'm like, okay. I said to him, I'm getting my orders done because if I don't do them today, they will still be here tomorrow and I will have to do them tomorrow, and then it just piles up. And he was like, okay. And I must have said it with a tone, because he's like, okay. And then he left me alone. That's not a happy moment. All right. Yeah, I'm so happy that I got, and see, the happiness police would come in here and say, you need to reframe that thought. Maybe this was longer. The happiness police were maybe before the forgiveness police. I don't remember. But I remember there was one thing where there was a magazine article or something about how you need to reframe your angry thoughts. And it said you need to reframe things to find the positive in everything. No. All right. So I remember doing the laundry, and I think the reframing, they said, when you're doing a lot of laundry and you feel overwhelmed, just remind yourself that you have clothing and you're so lucky to have these clothes to wear. And I'm like, okay. So I'm doing the laundry and I'm like, I am so lucky to have all these clothes that I am the only one who washes the laundry, and I'm the only one that takes the stuff and puts it away, and nobody helps me. And that kind of didn't help, right? That did not help. So sometimes the advice to reframe everything and be happy all the time and to expect that kind of thing to help, it doesn't help, because that's not normal, and it's not something that you can be happy all the time when you have a home-based business. So yeah, so on Sunday when I'm doing that and somebody says, oh, I love to relax, and you're working, that's not going to make you happy, and it's going to set you off. It's going to put you in a mood, which it has done for me for the last couple of days. I'm kind of settling down right now, although you probably can't tell. But I don't even know where I started with this. I think, the positive mindset thing. Yeah, the Chat GPT loves positive mindset. Okay, so I would say positive mindset as far as a home-based business goes is to be realistic. You have to understand that sometimes you're not going to be happy with what's going on, and sometimes you're going to feel overwhelmed, and sometimes you're going to be stressed out, and sometimes you're going to be in a great mood because everything seems to be going well for the next 10 minutes, right? Don't expect to be positive mindset all the time, and don't feel bad if you're not, because it's impossible. You just can't. It's not positivity so much as persistence that will get you where you're going. And I know that we've all seen that little cartoon with the two guys digging holes toward the gold in the mountain, and one stops and walks away, and the other one is still there, and he's almost there. And yeah, I mean, the message of that makes sense, except that you never know how close you are. And there are a lot of unrealistic expectations about how long it takes to get to where you're going if you are working at it. And I had a comment in the YouTube, on my YouTube channel, from someone who had just started, like literally 3 days ago, had just started an Etsy shop. And they said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I haven't gotten any sales. And I'm like, oh, okay, no, because I 100% know where that's coming from. There's this expectation that's been set up by all the get rich quick people on YouTube that all you have to do is put a shop up and all you have to do is run some ads and you're going to start making money. It doesn't work that way. That's not normal. And that's kind of the instant gratification police trying to get you to buy their programs. It takes time. It takes time and it takes persistence. It doesn't necessarily take a positive attitude. I think the positive attitude has to be not happiness, but it has to be the attitude that you have trust in yourself, that if you keep working at this toward your goal, that you will get there. That's the kind of positive attitude that you need. You have to have full faith and confidence in your ability to get where you're going. And you have to think to yourself, I can do this. Because that's the little self-doubt that creeps in that says, I can't do this. That's the imposter syndrome. It's the negative self-talk, whatever you want to call it. That's what will destroy you faster than anything else. And also thinking, oh my God, I don't have a positive attitude. What's wrong with me? Don't worry about the positive attitude. Just keep persisting. Be persistent and keep working at it. However, and I will talk about this next week maybe, there is a time when you should stop. I'll talk about that next week. When is it time to quit? That'll be our topic for next week. And I'll do it right after this because now I'm worked up. But if you're persistent and you keep going, yes, you might hit the gold. And if you quit, you definitely won't. I mean, if you do this for a month, if you do anything for a month that relies on search, it's not going to work. But if you do something and you keep at it and you give it time, and there is no 100% guaranteed time limit for anything, but there are things that take longer than others to get going. For example, Etsy. For example, a website that relies on Google search. For example, Pinterest. For example, YouTube. I mean, anything that relies on search and being found in an algorithm that is suggesting things to people, it takes time, and it takes a longer time than something that relies on hashtags like Instagram or Facebook, where people follow you on Facebook. And Facebook, we don't get found anyway anymore. It's very difficult. But anything that relies on hashtags and search like that and moves, anything with a feed that moves is going to be easier probably to be found if you're hashtagging it right and the whole thing. So you're still relying on search, and you still have to build up a consumer base. You have to build up a follower base. But anything that relies on search on its own, like Etsy, Pinterest, your website, YouTube, it's going to take a longer time. And sometimes it takes, for a website, I say 8 months, 8 to 10 months for a brand new website. That's how long it's going to take for Google to decide 100% this is where your website needs to be in search and for what keywords. For Pinterest, 6 to 8 months. And I've seen on my Pinterest account that I'll pin something and it takes 2 weeks for it to actually be picked up and start showing. And that's pretty consistent. And you will get some impressions right away if you SEO it right, but it takes time. And people say that it takes like 6 to 8 months for Pinterest. And that's just how it goes. Same thing for YouTube, same thing for Etsy. It might take a little. Etsy will find your listings right away. But as far as sales go, you need to build up a history with the shop to start getting some sales before you're going to get more sales. And Etsy works on sales. Etsy works on customer interaction with the listings and how people buy it down the road. So if you can get tons and tons of favorites, that's great. But if people aren't buying, Etsy doesn't like that so much. But you have to think of what's the purpose of the site. The purpose of Etsy is to sell things. And if Etsy sees that something is selling, they will show it again, and then it might sell again, and then you start a loop. Etsy loops. I've talked about Etsy loops before. So it's not necessarily having a positive mindset and being happy all the time. That's ridiculous. It's being persistent that will down the road probably help you more than being positive all the time. You have to wait. You have to be willing to wait. I don't like that. I want immediate gratification, but you have to be willing to wait for things to blossom into fruition. And even then the squirrels can come and take all your pears, you know. All right, so leave me any questions and I will talk to you later.